What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for December 6, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a feel-good Friday edition of the podcast. Thank you so much for all the birthday love yesterday, and this is going to be a free plug. Probably shouldn't do this, but that's okay. So if anybody out there is listening from there, hit me up. Maybe we can work something out. But George's Market in Dresher has their bakery is out of control, and we had obviously I like peanut butter a lot. Talk about Reese's Pieces being the most underrated candy of all time, but I had a peanut butter tandy cake, birthday cake, outstanding. I didn't even eat dinner. That was my dinner, was the piece of birthday cake. So if you're in the Dresher area, go check out George's, and if you like peanut butter, the peanut butter tandy cake is outstanding. All right. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word, growing this thing. I have big plans, big ideas for 2025, so looking forward to that. I didn't mention this the other day, but we've been featured in On Pattison at least once a week, so go check them out as well. We were in there on Wednesday when we were talking about the Eagles. Great, excuse me, the 2006 Eagles, but great newsletter, good read. So go check out On Pattison and subscribe to them and show them some love. There's still time to donate for our gift and food drive. Still, donations are coming in. We've already donated $500 worth of Target gift cards. I have a ton of donations coming in, so I'm going to make a trip and buy some more supplies for them. We've been doing the reverse advent calendar. Again, if you're doing this with your kids, it's a great way to just kind of teach them about giving. If you are participating, today's advent calendar item of the day is toilet paper. And if you're going to donate directly to the Matty Ann Dixon Community Cupboard, just let them know that it's part of our gift and food drive as well. But today's advent calendar item of the day is toilet paper. All right, 25 days of kindness. And this one's an easy one that everybody can do. You can do this multiple times a day. Just look at someone and smile. It goes a long way in brightening up someone's day. Start a conversation. For me, it's a little bit more difficult just because I work in an online school. So I'm going to send just a few messages just saying hello to some of my teachers today. But it goes a long way in making someone's day, engage them in a conversation, and let's have a feel-good Friday. All right, so let's go into today's podcast. And let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, does Jalen Hurts need the flashy numbers to be considered a good quarterback? Everybody keeps talking about numbers and how he's a game manager, like it's a negative thing, and where would they be without Saquon? So does he need the flashy numbers to be considered a good quarterback? 68% of you said no, he does not. I tend to agree. I mean, the dude, all he does is win. Shout out to Joe from Dresher, who gave a very good in-depth analysis of it and basically said, as long as they keep winning, it does not matter. If he puts up the numbers he has been, and wins a Super Bowl, he would be considered a good quarterback. If he puts up the numbers he has been and doesn't win the Super Bowl, he'll be considered to be average, which I agree with. And I think that you can say that about 95% of the quarterbacks in the league, that without a Super Bowl, they're just considered good. But he did mention lean on Barkley, and I agree. I was talking to a couple people on Twitter yesterday as well, and they were discussing this. Some of them were Giants fans. And the fact of the matter is, Saquon is having a historic season. So why would you not lean heavily on Saquon? And I don't think that's disparaging to Jalen whatsoever, because we've seen Jalen can do it. But if you have a back who's on pace to break the NFL single-season rushing record, why would you not lean on that? So that's kind of where I am. But I did want to go a little bit more in depth with this, only because I think this is probably going to be more of an argument, or turn into more of an argument for Saquon being the MVP than anything. But I think everybody, Patrick Mahomes is having a down year. And so we're not even talking about him, but everybody kind of is talking about Josh Allen being the presumptive MVP because it's a quarterback-driven league, and he's quote-unquote having the best season. But if you dive deeper into his numbers are not much different than Jalen Hurts, believe it or not. And I did this research on my own, not stealing this from anybody. Pro Football Reference looked at the stats and numbers and everything. So Josh Allen has 2,691 passing yards. Jalen Hurts, 2,494. Josh Allen, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Jalen Hurts, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Everybody talks about the turnovers. Josh Allen, 5 fumbles. Jalen Hurts, 7. So they're pretty even there when it comes to turnovers. Completion percentage. Josh Allen is completing 64.6% of his passes. Jalen Hurts, 68.4%. Rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen has 6. Jalen Hurts has 12. Josh Allen also has a receiving touchdown that he got the other day. So if you put that all together, Josh Allen has accounted for 27 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 26 touchdowns. Both teams are, I think Buffalo's 10-2 as well. So, I mean, if you really look at it like that, at the numbers, it's not that they're not that far off. So, again, I think because Saquon is having such a historic season is why we're down on Jalen. And then the other argument I get is, oh, well, it's a lot of checkdowns and this and over the middle short passes. Jalen has a higher yards per attempt and yards per completion than Josh Allen as well. So I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts should be the MVP. I just wanted to point out the numbers. Everybody is so down on Jalen this year, but his numbers certainly are comparable to Josh Allen's, who everybody thinks is the presumptive MVP. So like I said, if anything, that's more of an argument for Saquon being the MVP than anything. But 68% of you said Jalen doesn't need the flashy numbers. I just gave you the numbers there. His numbers, we don't look at them this year as flashy because of Saquon, but his numbers are right there in line with what Josh Allen is doing. And the numbers are the numbers. I mean, I can't, I mean, it is what it is. And sure, I mean, he threw for 118 yards the other day, but he didn't need to throw for any more than that because of how the defense dominated in Saquon. The other argument is, oh, well, look at the roster around him. Okay. I mean, how many great players did not have good players around them and didn't win? There are very few people in football. It's one of the only sports where you need a full team because it is a team effort. Look at Dan Marino is the poster child for this. All the numbers in the world, couldn't win a Super Bowl because it didn't have a good defense, didn't really have a running game, didn't have really top-notch receivers. I mean, I think he made Mark Duper and Mark Clayton better probably. It's a little bit before my time, but I mean, Dan Marino's the poster child for this. I think there's very few people that make the players around them better. I think you can look at Tom Brady as being one of them too. But you need a good roster in order to compete for a Super Bowl. And I don't know why Jalen's getting knocked for Howie Roseman being a genius when it comes to contracts and getting guys to sign and manipulating the cap and everything else. Why should Jalen get punished for that? Because Jalen is just as an important piece of this offense and this team as anybody else. So I don't think if you had Kenny Pickett in there as your quarterback this year, the Eagles would be 10-2. I don't think if you had a lot of guys that are starting on other teams, you would have the team would be 10-2. So I think a lot of it is just we're still having PTSD from last year's collapse maybe. Um, we kind of had last season coming off the heels of the disappointing Super Bowl loss, so our judgment is clouded somewhat. But I mean, I just gave you the numbers. Jalen Hurts is right there in line with Josh Allen. So I think all of the Jalen hate and being down on Jalen, I don't get it. And it's not as though they've had to rely on Jalen to win games this year. Sure, there's going to be a point in time where Saquon's going to get locked down for a little bit and Jalen's going to have to step up. But he's done that this year. He's made throws when he had to. Saquon is just having a ridiculously good season, historic season. So why would we not rely on him is, I guess, my case. Can Jalen throw for 300 yards? Yes, we've seen him do that in the Super Bowl toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. He did it last year against Josh Allen in a regular season game. He did it, like, he's done it. He had a great game against Miami last year. He's had good games. It's just Saquon, our judgment is clouded. I just, like I said, I just wanted to point that out there and throw it out. I think sometimes maybe we're too close to see the big picture, but that's my take on that. And then speaking of Saquon, lots of talk this week about the MVP and getting the record, and should they rest him, should they not? And look, I think at this point, this team has larger goals than that. And if Saquon gets the MVP, Saquon is able to break the record, I think you go for it. I really do. Like, I don't think you sit him this. I heard people say that he should sit out this week against Carolina. And I think that is just horrible. Sends a bad message to the team. Sends a bad message to everybody. As Herman Edwards said, you play to win the game. In the course of winning that game, if you have the chance for the individual accolades, absolutely you go for it. But I think, to me, it has to come in the natural progression of things. If this was a 5-11 team, or whatever, 10-2, so it'd be 5-7, I guess, and they were struggling to make the playoffs, maybe you ramp it up a little bit and get him the record. But this is a Super Bowl or bust team now, and you need to win the game first. That should be the primary focus. The other stuff will come, but I think if it comes down to the last game of the season and Saquon needs 115 yards to break the record, why not? I mean, especially because Detroit won last night. It looks like you're going to be in a battle for the number one seed. It is what it is. But I think the number one focus, number one goal, and I think Saquon would say that too. I mean, deep down, would he love to set the record? Probably. Would he want to win the MVP? Who wouldn't? Excuse me. But I think he would much rather win the Super Bowl than anything. So that's my take on that. Saquon, no surprise really, was the NFC Offensive Player of the Month. Other individual accolades, BG was named the Eagles nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. I think that would be awesome if he was able to win that. The Eagles do have 3 winners in their history: Harold Carmichael, Troy Vincent, and not Jake Long, Chris Long, the year after they won the Super Bowl. So I really do think that that's a huge honor for Brandon Graham, and that would be a great way, if this was his last year, excuse me, this would be a great way to sort of send him off. Meanwhile, Panthers game, I keep saying and I keep feeling that this is going to be a much tougher game than everybody's thinking. But they did get some good injury news. Looks like Darius Slay is on track to play. Devontae Smith is on track to play. Reed Blankenship is trending toward not playing as he's still in concussion protocol. Sidney Brown is on the injury report. He missed his second straight practice, which leaves them kind of struggling at safety somewhat, which just goes right into me thinking this is going to be a tougher game. Tristan McCollum will be, and CJ Gardner-Johnson will be the only 2 healthy safeties, it looks like, which means in an emergency, we might see Avonte Maddox. So Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous on that. But that's our Eagles coverage for today. We'll have more as we get into the weekend. But let me know more of your thoughts on Jalen. I think it's a good conversation to have. I really do think a lot of it stems from just our being too close to it. Maybe the PTSD. I don't know, but I don't see the everybody's ripping Jalen. And it goes back to what I said the other day with the new Philly versus old Philly. Got to stop looking for the negatives. Just enjoy the ride, man. Whew. But let me know your thoughts on that. Then go do some shopping at Philly Goat. They do have the Tecmo Saquon shirt, which is awesome. I'm giving Ryan and his team a little bit of a break right now, as I have so many orders coming from them right now. It's crazy. But go check out phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Then check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Another great NFC East episode today. As the hate for Greg and the Eagles is just ridiculous, but they just keep winning. So I guess that's I don't know. Maybe they're making fun of him because they're jealous. I don't know. But go check out the Clashing Conferences wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right, Sixers in action tonight against the Magic. Surprise, surprise, no Joe as he continues to manage his left knee. I really do think that the knee is way more hurt than what we think. I don't know if it's ever going to be right, so we'll see what happens. No word on if PG is going to go tonight. He should. I guess that he sat out the other night because it was a back-to-back. Adem Bonham is not playing. He's dealing with a knee bruise. I don't know what's up. Maybe the training staff needs to be looked at here for the Sixers. But Sixers Magic tonight down at the Wells Fargo Center, if anybody cares. Flyers, though, last night played a wild one down at the Wells Fargo Center, and I think they lost 7-5. But I think the fact that they went toe-to-toe with the defending champs and hung in there with them. Obviously, the Florida Panthers are a much better team than the Flyers, much more experienced team, so that's what's going to happen when you have teams. But the fact that they went toe-to-toe with them, got down early 3-0, came back, stormed back, really, took a 5-4 lead, ultimately losing 7-5 again, and the seventh goal was an empty netter. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And usually I'm not big on moral victories, but I think for a team that is admittedly in a rebuilding phase with a lot of young talent, to be able to go and hang with them, I think that's a good stepping stone moving forward. This is the time where the moral victories count, not when the team is supposed to be good. This is a huge step in the right direction. Matvei Mishkov had 3 assists. He just continues to impress. Owen Tippett had 2 goals himself to tie the game up. Just a good overall. I mean, obviously, they could have played better defensively, but Florida is a good team. And the fact that they went skated toe-to-toe with them, it's a huge step. Another big test for them tomorrow as they're up in Boston. That is, I think, a 1 p.m. tip-off. But the fact, or face-off, I don't know what it is called for hockey. Is it a start? I guess it's a start time, but is it face-off, tip-off? Either way, Boston's kind of struggling, middling around right now, but another good test for the Flyers tomorrow up in Boston. But that all leads me into today's question of the day. We have a lot of good rookies here in Philly, and next year we're going to probably see the debut of Andrew Painter. There's a possibility that Justin Crawford could make the team for the Phillies. So it's an exciting time for rookies here in Philadelphia. But as it stands right now on December 6th, who is the most exciting rookie in Philadelphia? Is it Jarrett McCain, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, or Matvei Mishkov? For me, I'm going Matvei. I mean, I've watched way more hockey this year than I ever have. And this dude is doing things that are just ridiculous. You certainly can make the case for Cooper DeJean. Certainly can make the case for Q. Obviously, you can make the case for Jarrett McCain as well. So who's your most exciting rookie right now in Philadelphia? Jarrett McCain, Matvei Mishkov, Quinyon Mitchell, or Cooper DeJean? Call me or text me on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Get your thoughts out there. Anything else Philly sports related? Want to talk more Jalen? Want to vent about the Sixers? Get your excitement about the Flyers? All of that is fair game. But who's the most exciting rookie right now on December 6th in Philadelphia? I'm going Matvey. Mishkov Mania is running wild. And not that I'm pushing for this, but I'm definitely not pushing for this. Would love to see Mishkov Mania written like Hawkamania style, orange shirt, black lettering. What you gonna do when Mishkov comes looking for you? Or an orange shirt with black lettering. What might be nice too. Just throwing it out there. If anybody at Philly Goat is listening, Mishkov Mania shirt might be. I'd probably buy that. All right, today we're gonna stick with the Flyers, and we're gonna go back to 1979. And on this day, 1979, 45 years ago, the Flyers had another wild one down at the Spectrum. They beat the LA Kings 9-4. It was their 23rd game in a row without a loss. We all know they went on to win 35 or be beaten in 35 straight, which is a North American sports record. It was their first win in 3 games. They had tied the previous 3. Much like last night, they got down 3-0 after the first period, and then they fought back, literally and figuratively. Reggie Leach scored 2 goals in 20 seconds, which set a Flyers record to open up the second period. Flyers scored 6 in the second period, and then things got chippy. Lots of fights and brawls were breaking out. Guys just getting frustrated. 153 total penalty minutes for the game. Reggie Leach would go on to add his 3rd goal for the hat trick in the 3rd period. Norm Barnes and Rick McLeish each had 3 assists. Ken Linseman had 2 goals and an assist. And it just was a total domination after a slow start by the Flyers, both literally and figuratively, as there was fights galore in this game. Little side note, the Flyers also extended their unbeaten streak against the LA Kings to 21 at that point. Just total domination of the LA Kings. But on this day in 1979, Reggie Leach had the hat trick. Flyers overcame a 3-0 deficit with 6 goals in the second period to beat the LA Kings 9-4 down at the Spectrum. Finally today, our forgotten team in Philadelphia sports history. This one we've talked about before, but it's the Franford Yellow Jackets. They were the Philadelphia's first NFL team. They were a barnstorming team playing a lot of college and semi-pro and NFL teams up until 1924 when they were admitted into the NFL. They won their first and only NFL championship in 1926. And this team became the first team to win a championship in football in Philadelphia. The Franford Yellow Jackets, they used to play 2 games per weekend, which is just insanity. They'd play at home on Saturday and then away on Sunday due to Pennsylvania's blue laws. 8 years total in the NFL. And then, much like a lot of the teams of the time, the Depression, lack of fans, they also had a fire to their stadium up in Frankford and were playing down at Franklin Field, which made it tough at the time for people to get from Frankford all the way down to Franklin Field to watch them. So ultimately, they folded, but it did lead the way for Lud Ray and Bert Bell to purchase the rights to the franchise in Philadelphia, and we all know they folded. The Yellow Jackets folded in 1932, or I guess after 1931, they folded. But 1933, the Philadelphia Eagles were formed. So without the Frankford Yellow Jackets, there would be no Philadelphia Eagles. If you remember, they wore the bright yellow and blue jerseys that the Eagles wore back in 2007. Some interesting notes about the Yellow Jackets. Lou Molinette became the first Latino to ever play in the NFL. And then they won the first NFL championship in Philadelphia many, many years before the Eagles would finally win their first. But the Frankford Yellow Jackets are today's forgotten team in Philly sports. And Like I said, they laid the groundwork for the Eagles. If it wasn't for them folding, Lud Ray, Burt Bell would not have been able to bring the Eagles to Philadelphia. So thank you, Frankford Yellow Jackets. On this day in 1979, Flyers beat the Kings 9-4 at the Spectrum. Reggie Leach with the hat trick. Flyers overcame a 3-0 deficit with 6 goals in the second period. We'll have more on the Eagles as we gear up for the Panthers game. I just have a feeling this is going to be a tougher game than what we think. Be sure to answer the question today. Who's the most exciting rookie in Philadelphia right now? Matvey Mishkov, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, or Jarrett McCain? Get your votes in. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related. And let me know more about the Jalen thing. Like I said, I gave you the numbers right there. It's actually blue and white because I wrote with a blue pen. But the numbers are the numbers. He's comparable right there with Josh Allen. So why are we so down on Jalen Hurts? Is he a victim of Saquon's success? I don't know. But let me know your thoughts on that. And we'll have an update on the Sixers. Not sure who's going to play, who's not, but yikes. That's all coming to you tomorrow. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for December 6, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.